Welcome. It is another political spotlight. We're talking with Dr. Pam Cobler. She's running for the Reed Creek District for the Board of Supervisors, and we are so delighted to have you with us, another special guest with us today.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Of course. Now, we've done this before for other things.
Yes.
Today, we're bringing you again for the Reed Creek District candidacy that you're running for. Tell us, before we get into that, who is Miss Dr. Pam Cobler?
Well, I am a former teacher. I'm a sister and a daughter, and I take my role as an aunt very seriously. I am a longtime resident of the Reed Creek District. I am equestrian. I've ridden horses my whole life, and since my injury, I've been back in the saddle for about seven or 8 years. I'm a singer. I sing in a 5-part ladies gospel group.
Oh.
Yes, and the gospel group, and we do some traditional and some contemporary. And I say those things at first because I do have a long resume. Right. I have a lot of experience as a doctorate degree in education. I'm a former teacher. I worked at Patrick and Henry Community College years ago. Okay. Then I was Miss Wheelchair Virginia 2004, and that was an advocacy role. And then I have recently launched my Cuddle Kitty children's book series with Cobler Consultants and doing some training and speaking. And then the person of Pam, I would say, loyal, trustworthy, fun. That's always important. My family is very fun. So those are just a few things about me. I am not an introvert, very much an extrovert, which serves me well in a candidacy like this because I'm a people person, and the networking and all of that and meeting everybody is very important to me. So that's just a little bit about Dr. Pam.
Absolutely, a great introduction. Again, we're excited to have you, and for the viewers, we've had you again before for the books, and you talked a little bit about. I'm going to put this in there. You talked a little bit about the aunt role. An uncle, just became last year an uncle, so I take that role very seriously.
Yeah.
Shout out to my nephews. But as we talk a little bit about that, and we talk about some of the things that we've seen you in, the community maybe has already seen you because you've been out and about, at some of the events to tell people about what you're running on. So tell us a little bit about some of those things where people may have seen you and some of the events you've been to.
The Bassett has been very active with the Bassett Cruise In, and I have visited the Ruitons in Fixborough and Bassett and Oak Level. Recently, I went to the quarter auction at the Oak Level Center, and I'm in and out of just the churches singing, and there have been a lot. Not to combine those two, but there just have been a lot of singing events that just happen to be in the Reed Creek area. And also because I'm a former educator and I do have relationships with Martinsville City Schools and Henry County Schools, and I have my job with the Disability Rights and Resource Center, that takes me into educational settings as well. And then speaking individually with businesses. And I was just thinking about it. I didn't realize how time-consuming this would be, and people have said, "How are you finding the time?" And my answer to that is, I'm making the time because it's very important. I would say, Louise, I have 4 or 5 appearances a week, and that's in addition to everything else that's going on.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you brought that into account. A lot of times people may enter a race and they have the good intentions of actually doing great work, but they just can't find the time. So great to see that you found the balance. And talking a little bit about that and your agenda, you've attended some meetings as well to kind of get yourself educated. What would be some of the other reasons you've got yourself involved with the Board of Supervisors meetings?
I have been thinking about this for many years, and I say many years, I say at least 20 years, because I've always had an interest in local government altogether, and the impact, and local government is very important, and in my opinion that's where the foundation is, and that's where you can make the greatest impact. And I have been asked to do this for some time, and I feel like it's for such a time as this. I'm ready to lead, and I have that as part of my slogan, or my we call a logo, ready to lead. And in thinking about it, I'm calling the issues of the concerns as I listen to the Reed Creek citizens and the things that they're saying. The number one thing that I'm hearing is the connectivity with the broadband and the internet from residents and from business and industry. But I was just doing a door-to-door campaigning and getting to know people last week, and a single mom came out and we had a lengthy discussion, ended up talking to her for about 30 minutes, and she said that she moved to our county 3 years ago, and she has a child in elementary school and a child in middle school, and she still does not have the internet that she needs. So I'm saying that I'm going to fight as the Reed Creek supervisor and as part of the Henry County Board of Supervisors to fight for every resident and every business to have the broadband and internet that they need.
Okay,
awesome. That's one of my big pillars.
Now, you've touched a little bit about some of the things you want to improve, some of the concerns you've heard from citizens, and we have a list of other things that we need to get to. So, but before we do that, we have to take a quick commercial break, and we encourage everyone to maybe grab a snack and come back and join us as we continue to learn about Mrs. Dr. Pam Cobler and her candidacy for, again, the Reed Creek District on the Board of Supervisors. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you so much for staying with us for another live program as we are highlighting the Reed Creek District Board of Supervisors seat and candidate, Dr. Pam Cobler. And she, before the break, was talking to us a little bit about some of the things that she's heard from citizens of the Reed Creek District in regard to broadband. And I know that you wanted to touch on, before we move on, to some of the other things that you would like to tackle.
Just making sure that the businesses and the students that are often rural Henry County, that they have what they need, and also telehealth. As everybody knows, I do represent individuals with disabilities in our county, and a lot of people have gone to telehealth anyway, but it's very important to them. And so broadband, like I said, we call it connectivity and broadband, fiber, and the fiber optics, and the internet is very important. And like I said, I'm gonna fight for that for all of our residents and the businesses, because I've had both tell me personally and over the phone. Awesome.
And as we talk and connect that with some of the other issues that you would like to see if you're elected to the Reed Creek District, what would some of those be?
I applaud what Henry County has done with big industry and the Commonwealth Crossing and everything that's going on there. Amazing, and making our mark literally in the state and in the world. I am a proponent also of small business, because small business is the foundation of a local economy. And I was part of the startup group a year and a half ago with my businesses also. So I was awarded a startup award and was given things to get me going. And with my group, there were a lot of other types of small businesses, restaurants, and different services in our county. So the small business, I will continue to fight for the small business and work with them. The other thing, I am an educator. I'm a former elementary teacher. I got my doctorate degree in education administration. I know I've told you a few times before that I wanted to be a college president or a school superintendent, and life just took a different direction, but I work closely with education, and as a board of supervisor, I want to collaborate and have a very positive relationship, continue a positive relationship with the school systems, and that includes all the teachers and all the staff and everybody, and the school board. And so the education is important. The other thing that is part of my interest and concern is not concern in a bad way, but in a very good way. I'm a proponent of community college. I'm a product of community college. I went to Patrick and Henry. It was Patrick Henry then. Patrick and Henry. Then I went to JMU. Then I went to UVA. And then I went on to get my doctorate degree, starting out at community college, and the industrial trades and the certifications. They're doing an amazing job at Patrick and Henry. And I want to make sure that we support our local community college and just expand on that some. And then the other thing too is the safety. And I know that the law enforcement, I'm a very supportive person and will be a strong proponent again with law enforcement as a supervisor. My brother is retired military. Okay. And he's a retired ranger, and my principal where I taught at Campbell Court, he was also retired lieutenant in the Army, and just very patriotic and really pulling for and supporting our law enforcement and to be there for them. And I know even with me and the public safety and rescue and everything, what they've done for me personally and professionally, just want to make sure that I work with them as a supervisor and support them. And I know, I mean, I have with the budget here, I've been going to all of the Board of Supervisors meetings and listening, and I went to the budget workshop and just looking at what the budget supports, and the majority of the budget goes to education, and then the next second largest part of the budget is public safety. So of course, as a supervisor, I want to continue to support, uplift, uphold that, and have collaborative partnerships with them.
Okay, wow, a lot to take in.
It's a lot.
Yeah, definitely, but that's what we're here for. We're here to educate the voters on why you believe you're the best candidate. And before we continue more into the discussion, one question that I've kind of overlooked, but I want to make sure, because we've touched a little bit about your background, and we touched about your background, extensive background in education. Tell me, why did you decide to put your name in the hat for the Reed Creek District Board of Supervisors? Running
again, I was asked to, but more than that, to have the impact. And I gave some considerable thought, talked to a few people about whether to run for the school board or the Board of Supervisors. And I feel like my impact, and for such a time as this, is for me to be on the Board of Supervisors for an expansive reach, not just for education, but for other things, the economy and the other things that are very important.
All right, so it's great to be able to get some of those things and talk about some of the issues that you would like to see. One of the things that I see in the notes also that I want to touch on is community revitalization. So kind of tell me a little bit about what in that aspect you would like to touch on in regards to improvements.
Just the projects that are coming in back to the economy and in the small business. And I talked to someone, a business owner in Bassett, and the revitalization in Bassett, where they just opened up a garden, more of an attractive garden. The revitalization of the train station, the revitalization of the railroad and all of that there in Bassett. And I'm a little bit hyper focused on Bassett just at this minute because I have spent so much time there recently, reaching out to all the communities and going door to door in Oak Level, Figsboro, which is where I live, and Stanleytown, a lot of support in Stanleytown also there. But just the revitalization, not just of one part of the county, but the revitalization as the projects continue to come out, to work with them on that.
So I know that we're talking about Reed Creek District, and that encompasses those communities that you've talked about. But yes, the big focus is going to be there, but you still will be a Board of Supervisors member if elected for all county residents.
Absolutely, yes, and that's the other thing with ordinances that come up and other county-wide issues that come up. I will definitely have my vote for all of the citizens representing Reed Creek, but representing also Henry County, all of Henry County.
Awesome. A lot more to the discussion and a lot to take in. So maybe you want to take a quick commercial break and kind of regroup. And of course, Dr. Pam Cobler is available with questions, if you see her out in the community. And we'll talk a little bit about that and other topics of discussion after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Again, we're here with Dr. Pam Cobler. She is a candidate for the Reed Creek District on the Board of Supervisors. I've said that a lot, that I'm starting to get getting tied-tongue here, but or whatever the word is. But we've learned a lot about Dr. Cobler, and hopefully you have as well. And as we've talked about everything in regards to background and some of the things that you've done, tell us why you would say that you're the best candidate.
That's a tough question. And it's nothing, I would say that overall I'm a positive person. Okay. Now I have my moments like everybody else, but keeping it in the positive light, so to speak, not running against anyone. Okay. I'm running for the people of Reed Creek. Okay. And ready to lead and ready to listen. I'm listening to what the residents and the people of Reed Creek and of Henry County, as we talked earlier, listening to what they're saying. I believe it's my position for such a time as this. I do have a long resume. I have a resume of business, I have a resume of education, I have a resume of government, and I have a resume of community involvement. So I've got a long resume to be the best person for this position, and an understanding of the people's voice, and then just the kind of person that I am. I'm going to be there. I'm going to listen. I'm going to take the calls. I'm going to answer the calls. I'm going to fight for our citizens. I think again, I'm running for the people of Reed Creek and not necessarily against another person. Okay.
Well, that's a great way to put it. One of the questions that you brought with you, and I always tell the public that, you know, the candidates are allowed to bring the questions because this is a political spotlight. We are getting to know about the candidates and what they would like to let you know about. And obviously, if you have questions, we'll talk about that. I know that I've hinted on it multiple times, how you can reach out to Dr. Cobler. But one of the things that you brought with you is talking about early voting, and I want to get my little spiel out there before we talk about that. And I think that it's important that we do that. It's almost essential that we do that because last year as well, there was, and throughout recent years, there's been concerns about how secure elections or how secure is early voting. And we've, of course, at BTW got a lot of calls about, hey, someone's voting and doing this illegally and stuff like this, that they were making false claims. So we reach out to the right authorities, and they're telling us no, that the elections are secure, especially on the local level, because that's where we focused on. So I think it's essential that we talk a little bit about how important is it for people to be educated on election security, and to get their, if they can, if they want to, get their early vote in. And I think, you know, what would be some of the things that you would say to encourage the folks that maybe don't have the education on the early voting, or iffy about it, or just concerned?
Great question. And another question that might be somewhat controversial, or was, I would say that we trust wholeheartedly in our elections office in Henry County. Yes. Since I have been a candidate, they have been literally perfect and professional. So kudos to the elections office here in county. As far as early voting, I do understand people's skepticism. Yeah. I'm there with them, and again, my brother, retired Army Ranger, I've asked him, I've said, please vote early, and one main reason is for the numbers. The other reason would be because people don't know exactly what they're going to be doing election day. Yeah. So early voting starts September the 22nd, and I'm just encouraging everybody to go vote early, even traditionally if you don't like to, or you don't think it's safe, or you don't want to. I do believe that we as a county and as a community in Virginia should be voting early. Yeah. Just stop by the administration building after work or sometime. And again, early voting starts September the 22nd. And I think everybody should vote early if they can. Absolutely. We're going to have folks that are not going to do it, like my brother. He's in North Carolina, but anyway, I do know that there are folks who don't want to do that, but I think the majority of us should. And again, it's a personal choice, but we just want to let you know what we've experienced, that again, it's secure in Henry County. I can vouch for Henry County. Yes, and I will also say that since my injury, I mean, I've been a person who has voted early, just because it's been so convenient. Right. Usually no lines, and you can go in and make your voice be heard. Yeah. And if you're, obviously, we're not going to get into the mail-in early voting, but if you're skeptical about that, obviously you being there and showing up,
I would say if you're thinking about it like that, it's a little more secure if you're there and going because you yourself presented yourself.
Yes.
And you could ask questions to the registrar's office.
They're
elections
they're
office.
amazing.
So
Yes.
absolutely, I can vouch for that
Yes.
as well. As we start to close up, we got about 2 minutes. Tell us about some of the ways that people can, I know you wanted to touch on support your candidacy. Also, if they have questions, get to see you at events. I know you said you're pretty busy.
Well, I know or maybe you've heard already, the Chamber is having their first candidate forum
Yeah.
at Patrick and Henry Community College in Frith Hall at
Yeah.
6:30 for the Reed Creek and the sheriffs.
Right.
You already know that.
Yeah.
On September the 7th, which is a Thursday at 6:30. So I'm asking the friends of candidate Cobler, my entourage, and all
Okay.
my support, and if the support all over the county, not just in Reed Creek, but the support all over the county and the city has been overwhelming. So
Awesome.
I do have to make sure that I thank everybody. So I'm asking all of my supporters to come and show support for the chamber and for the forum and for everybody. And to cheer me on. I am going to have a fundraiser.
Okay.
I haven't decided the venue exactly.
Okay.
I've been running into a few issues on sometime in October.
Okay.
And I'm not exactly sure when that's going to be, but you can follow my Facebook page,
Okay.
just at Pam Cobler. And I do have one, a Reed Creek, but I'm not managing that one as well. The social media is still, this is still a little bit of a learning curve for me, but under just Pam Cobler Facebook, they can
Okay.
find my events and my whereabouts. And if somebody wants to invite me somewhere, they can also direct message me on Facebook.
And questions
and
and
message.
concerns.
And yes, and that is how people are getting in touch with me.
Right.
And the funny, I call it the sign game, but I have people messaging
Yeah.
me, can I have a sign,
Yeah.
or can I stop by or meet you somewhere and get a sign? So lots of people are messaging me and messaging me about those issues that we talked about earlier.
Okay, awesome. So we have run out of time.
Okay.
Again, thank you so much for being here and for making this a breeze for us.
Okay, thank you.
And we thank you all very much as always. Thank you for allowing us into your home, for taking the time to learn about Dr. Pam Cobler. Again, she's running for the Reed Creek District Board of Supervisors, and voting will take place, actual voting in person will take place on November 6th, 7th, or 6th?
November 7th.
7th.
Yes.
I don't know why it goes, I know it the entire time, and it just goes out of my mind when I have to say it. And September 22nd is early voting.
Yes.
So again, folks, write those dates down because I'm going to forget them and may tell you incorrectly. So definitely make sure you check up on after I tell you. But thank you so much again, and we'll see you at the next one.